Hello, it's so great to be here with you and speak to you this evening. My name is Kelly Shields. I have a PhD in biomedical engineering from Virginia Commonwealth University in Virginia and a master's in epidemiology from Pitt. I have worked as a PI in a translational research laboratory within the Allegheny Health Network, and I transitioned into data science about 2.5 years ago when I started at Highmark Health on the data science R&D team, and now I am a senior research data scientist. I was tasked for my part in this endeavor to talk about lateral thinking. What is it? The term was coined by Edward de Bono in the late 60s. Dr. Bono has written many books on this topic has some outline or online courses available on his website if you're interested. There are some detractors from his work saying that it lacks evidence. As with anything though, however, we should consider how some of these ideas can help you to think outside of the box, which I believe is a phrase that most of you are probably very well familiar with. As I was preparing for this, I found that many individuals use riddles as a good way to demonstrate lateral thinking and to kind of get their mind in that space. So I have a riddle for you. A woman has two sons who were born on the same hour of the same day of the same year, but they are not twins and there is no time machine involved. How can this be? Our brains like to think, find commonalities and progress to a conclusion based on what we know, assumptions that we may have, biases, etc. However, we should deliberately challenge our thinking. One way to do this is by participating on cross-functional teams with people of different backgrounds and different ways of thinking. And this is an excellent opportunity that you have in this opportunity with this project to get your feet wet in this area. One of de Bono's more popular books is called Six Thinking Hats, where there are 6 colors associated with hats that aid in challenging the brain to think in 6 distinct different directions. So the first one is the blue hat. The blue hat is the big picture hat involved with managing. They consider all the factors, the first important priorities. Then the white hat is strictly for facts and information only. The red hat deals with feelings and emotions, the emotions and the ego. Then you have the black hat, which is the negative hat, looking at the plus, minus, and interesting facts and evaluating those. Whereas the yellow hat is the flip side of it, it's the positive side, but also again, looking at the plus, minus, and interesting facts and evaluating those. Then the last hat is the green hat. This is the new ideas hat, the concept challenges, yes, no, pros and cons. Now, you don't have time to get into understanding the nuances of this particular technique, and there are some things that you have to do in order of the hats. But I believe that the main idea is to be able to be creative, right? I believe that with your cross-functional teams and that you will be able to be very creative in your thinking. And that relates with the machine learning, robustness of machine learning and model development is not only from the algorithms being used, but also in the data being used. You could have the most sophisticated patent-worthy model, but if your data is junk or just not that rich, in fact, then you won't have very good results and they won't be good solutions. So we also want to guard against bias creeping into our models through either, again, our assumptions or even within the data itself. So looking at all the sources of data and ways to feature engineer proxies that may be important for the target you are trying to model is critical to finding good solutions, good working solutions. I would suggest that you learn as much as you can about the problem online, talking with people, subject matter experts. For homelessness in Allegheny County, there are many nonprofits working in this area. Light of Life, the Pittsburgh Project, churches, soup kitchens. They may have some ideas or insights, data or data sources that they would even be willing to share or at least point you in the right direction. There's been much research done in this area. Explore the resources that you've been given through this opportunity. Ask well thought out questions. Go to the source, the subject matter experts, It is critical that you have an understanding in defining the problem. The resources are here to help you, to point you in the right direction. And within your teams, brainstorm on ways that you can think outside of the box. One way would be maybe perhaps looking at your own typical day and think to yourself, if it had been below freezing last night and I didn't have a place to go, what would I have done? And think about, where you might have gone, who you might have contacted, gain ideas from those people. Maybe they have data sources or different ideas for proxies. Another idea is, other things like, what if I had a child? What does that child, how does that child get to school? Are there any data sources or proxies that you could use to feature engineer that would speak to this problem? What about other similarly sized cities or counties in a similar climate? Meteorological data, having a mild winter versus a very harsh winter or a very hot summer. Look at things like that. Social determinants of health is huge. There are many public data sources for that. Look for government data considering economic downturns, unemployment rates, those types of things. But I strongly encourage you to be creative in thinking of your data sources, how you're going to feature engineer things, look for those proxies where you can combine things from different sources, perhaps. Additionally, also important to keep the end user in mind and how they will be able to utilize the results of your model. So how would a nonprofit use your model versus the Allegheny County Health Department versus the City of Pittsburgh leadership? You need to think through these things so that the solution that you have is usable for the intent. I am very excited to participate in this opportunity with you. I hope that this has given you some things to think on. I anxiously await to hear the presentations and possible solutions to a very difficult problem, which has been a passion of mine. I wish you the best. Oh, and the answer to the riddle is the woman had triplets or quadruplets or quintuplets, but you get the idea. So best of luck to you and take care.